What's up, YouTube? Timmy's here. Now, here is my throwback segment where I talk about the films that turns 10, 20, 30, and 40 this week. Alright, the films turning 10 this week, we got some good ones here. We got one of the best Ridley Scott films of the past 10 years, The Martian. Now, The Martian, of course, did score a couple of Oscar nominations. It also scored a couple of wins. It won the Golden Globes for Best Comedy because they thought it was hilarious, I guess. Now, the film, of course, is based on a book by Andy Weir and stars Matt Damon and depicts an astronaut's struggle to survive on Mars after being left behind, and, NASA's effort to return him home. I mean, never travel with Matt Damon. A lot of Matt Damon movies always include someone wanting to save him and all, but anyway. The Martian is great. Matt Damon's great. Of course, you have Kristen Wiig, Jeff Daniels, Chiwetel Ejiofor, Sean Bean, Kate Mara, Sebastian Stan. The performance that Matt Damon gives, obviously it's mostly Castaway in space, but Matt Damon does such a great job here. Really, this was actually one of Ridley Scott's best movies he did because beforehand his filmography was a little bit of a letdown. Beforehand, because he did that Exodus, Gods and Kings, The Counselor, Prometheus, and all. But this became one of his better projects in recent years, and it's a really good one. Of course, there is Project Hail Mary, which is based on a book by the same author. And you know what? If you told me that Project Hail Mary was set in the same universe as The Martian, I probably would believe you, because that literally looks so much like it could easily be set in the same universe as The Martian, but who knows? Alright, also turning 10 is The Walk. Now, The Walk was directed by Robert Zemeckis, and here's an interesting synopsis here. It stars Joseph Gordon-Levitt, and it's, of course, about, this French high-wire artist, Philippe Petit, who ended up walking between the Twin Towers of the World Trade Center in 1974, and this movie is incredible. I still remember seeing this one in IMAX 3D. It was excellent to watch. Joseph Gordon-Levitt was great. You also had Sir Ben Kingsley, Charlotte Lee Bond. It was just something about this was really cool. Of course, it was also based on the documentary Man on Wire, which was also pretty good. But yeah, The Walk is a really good one. Alright, also turning 10, we got the film Freeheld. Freeheld starred the likes of Julianne Moore, Elliot Page, who obviously at the time was Ellen Page, Micah Shannon, Steve Carell, and is of course based on a 2007 documentary short film of the same name about police officer Laurel who fights against the Ocean Country, New Jersey board of chosen freeholders who allow pensions benefits of domestic partners here. And the movie is really decent. The chemistry between Moore and Page was pretty good. Steve Carell was really decent. Micah Shannon. This was actually the second Micah Shannon movie that came out around that same time. Because this also came out around the same time as 99 Homes, the one that he did with Andrew Garfield. So pretty cool one for Micah Shannon there. Alright, also turning 10 is a little R-rated anime comedy that I don't think no one ever even heard of, called Hell and Back. This is actually from the same people who gave us the show Robot Chicken, and it features the voice talents of Nick Swartzen, Mila Kunis, Bob Odenkirk, Susan Sarandon, Danny McBride, and it follows these three friends who pretty much break a blood oath over a minute and causing a portal open here and sucks them into hell here. And the movie is pretty fun. It is entertaining here, really hilarious. Definitely has that Robot Chicken type humor, mixed with South Park type humor, and it's a really fun, R-rated anime film. Alright, films turning 20 this week. We got some really cool ones here. We, of course, got The Greatest Game Ever Played, which, of course, was actually directed by the late, great Bill Paxton, starring Shia LaBeouf, taking place in 1913 U.S. Open, where 20-year-old Francis Yamat played golf against his idol. And the movie is really decent. It's really heartfelt. A really nice, like true story film. It was released by Disney at the time. Shia LaBeouf, say what you want about him nowadays. He was a pretty cool actor, and he was actually pretty good in this one. All right, also turning 20 is Into the Blue, which of course stars Jessica Alba and the late Fast and Furious star Paul Walker. This is probably one of my favorite like non-Fast and Furious movies with Paul Walker in it. It's of course about like it focuses on a group of divers who like go treasure hunting and find a sunken plane filled with like illicit shipments here. And the movie definitely had some fun elements to it. Definitely has a little bit of like that national treasure vibe. The chemistry between Alba and Walker was really good. I mean, Jessica Alba, come on, who did not have the poster of Jessica Alba in this movie on their wall? Come on, but yeah, Jessica Alba, oh boy, she was great in this one, big time. Of course, Paul Walker was great. I mean, it's a really decent adventure film that's well worth a watch. 2005 was a good year for her, by the way, because she was also in like Sin City, Fantastic Four that year. So 2005 was like, I guess just say Jessica Alba was the Pedro Pascal of 2005. You know how like Pedro Pascal, like lots of people always claim that he's in everything this year and all. Jessica Alba was pretty much Pedro Pascal of the early 2000s. Well, I guess he wants to say the Sydney Sweeney of the 2000s, really. But anyway. Also turning 20, we got Serenity. Of course, based on the TV show Firefly, directed by Joss Whedon, starring Nathan Fillion, Alan Tudyk, Summer Glau, Chiwetel Ejiofor playing the villain here. And of course, Serenity is a story of a crew of Serenity, a Firefly class spaceship, and the captain, of course, and first mates are veterans in the war, like Unifaction war here. And of course, you do got like Chiwetel Ejiofor who plays the bad guy in this. It is a lot of fun. It is like obviously it was, I guess you could say like a an ending of the Firefly show. It would be cool to see a Firefly reboot, but who knows? And plus, I don't think this movie did all that great in the box office at that time. So, all right, also turning 20, we also got Capote. The film that, of course, won Philip Seymour Hoffman, the late great Philip Seymour Hoffman, his first ever Oscar. This is, of course, about the life of Truman Capote, and Philip Seymour Hoffman was great in this. Really solid performance, well deserving of his Oscar win. Catherine Keener was in this as well. It was a really good one. It is, of course, about the American novelist Truman Capote. Bennett Miller, who will go on to direct Moneyball and Foxcatcher. He did a great job directing this. It's a really good film. Like Philip Seymour Hoffman was very, very unrecognizable as a role. Like you would not even knew that was Philip Seymour Hoffman if his name wasn't attached and all. But it's a really great one. All right, also 2020, we also got smaller stuff here. Like we got the prize winner of Defiance, Ohio, which stars the aforementioned Julianne Moore. And it's pretty much retelling a determined woman that entered contests to keep her family afloat and bills paid. Not a bad little film there. You of course had like Julianne Moore, Woody Harrelson, Laura Dern. Really decent film there. We also got Little Manhattan, which is about these two kids who like this 10-year-old played by Josh Hutcherson, who experienced love in New York City. And it's a really decent little like rom-com. Of course, you had a very mini Josh Hutcherson at the time. Obviously, this was way before Bridget to Ripperfa, way before Hunger Games. So I guess say it was one of the ones that really made like a breakout of Josh Hutcherson, and he was actually pretty good in this one. You don't see the actress Charlotte Rae in any one out there, but all right. Films turning 30 this week. We got the Gus Van Sant film To Die For, starring Nicole Kidman, Joaquin Phoenix, Matt Dillon, Wayne Knight, Casey Affleck. And it's about this beautiful but naive, aspiring television personality who pretty much films like a documentary on teenagers with a darker motive here. And it's a really interesting little thriller. Nicole Kidman, who by the way, no longer married to Keith Urban, that's something. But Yeah, Trooper Diver is a really interesting little thriller. Like Nicole Kidman was pretty good in this one. Matt Dillon, Joaquin Phoenix, Gus Van Sant did a good job with this one. Not a bad film there. Our film turning dirty is Halloween: The Curse of Michael Myers. Now, of course, this of course this star a very young Paul Rudd, who obviously was mostly part of Clueless at the time, and let's be real, he actually still looks the same. But anyway, of course the plot depicts Michael Myers hunting down like the infant son of his niece, Jamie Lloyd. And of course, this was actually the final appearance by the late great Donald Pleasant as Dr. Sam Loomis. And I really now, Curse of Mike Myers is more of a guilty pleasure of mine. Like, it's not a great film, but I used to always, get a kick out of this one. Seeing Paul Rudd in this was pretty cool. I mean, and boy, this movie came out like a week after a Leatherface film. So, 1995, we had a Leatherface film and a Michael Myers film in the same year. Talk about a cool year right there. Alright. Also turning 30, we got Devil in the Blue Dress, based on the Walter Mosley 1999 novel. About World War II veteran Esco Easy Rollins, who desperate in need for a job, becomes drawn into a search for a mysterious woman. Of course, you had Denzel Washington, Don Cheadle, Jennifer Beals, an interesting mystery thriller that's well worth a watch. Denzel's great in this. I mean, of course, based on a book, really interesting film there. All right, also turning 30, we got The Big Green, which stars the likes of Steve Guttenberg, and it's pretty much about like an antique soccer team who's consisting of misfit groups of a small Texas kid who are coached by like a teacher from England. It of course stars the likes of Steve Guttenberg, J.O. Sanders, Olivia Abo. Not a bad little like Disney sports film. I mean, there was some really good Disney sports movies back in the days, and this was actually a pretty good one. Alright, also turning dirty is Dead Presidents. Now, this movie, of course, stars the likes of Keith David, Lorenz Tate, Chris Tucker, Terrence Howard, Sticky Fingers. And the film chronicles the life of Anthony Curtis, played by Tate, who focuses on like the his teenage years as a high school graduate here. And it is, of course, like an interesting gangster type film. Really cool performances by Lorenz Tate, who will go on to appear in Girls Trip, the movie Crash, Love Jones. Yeah, Love Jones. I mean, he's always been good stuff. Terrence Howard, of course. Terrence and Tate was in Crash together. Sticky Fingers. Like the '90s was a really cool year when it came to like these hood type movies. Whether you talk about Manchester Society, uh, Juice, Boys in the Hood. I mean, they don't really make these type of movies anymore nowadays. But all right, film turning 40 this week. We got one of my favorite Arnold films, Commando. This is probably one of my favorite Arnold movie that is not Terminator related. Commando is great. It of course stars Arnold Schwarzenegger, who plays this retired special forces, who tries to like save his daughter here. And of course, you have a very young Alyssa Milano, Vernon Wells, Roy Don Chung. Commando is a lot of fun, super cool, like really great action. Arnold at the time, obviously, coming off of stuff like Terminator and all, did a great. Obviously, he was like pretty much an action icon of the '80s because obviously Terminator came around and stuff, and really reminisces him as an '80s action star. And he did a great job with this one. I mean, if you guys never seen Commando, definitely watch that one. All right, also turning 40, we got Jagged Edge, which is a pretty much like a legal film about a lawyer who pretty much takes the case of a man accused of killing his wife, but remains uncertain if he's guilty or not. Of course, it stars the likes of Jeff Bridges, Glenn Close, Robert Loga. Jagged Edge is a really interesting thriller, crazy twists and turns around. Um, definitely like an interesting legal film that's well worth a watch. I mean, it's a really good one. Also turning 40 is Sweet Dreams, which is of course about the late country music icon Patsy Cline. The Of course, who sadly died in a plane crash at the height of her time. This movie, of course, stars Jessica Lange, Ed Harris, uh, John Goodman was in this, PJ Souls, from Halloween fame. I mean, Sweet Dreams is a really interesting music biopic. Jessica Lange was great. Really showcase of who Patsy Cline was. Obviously, some really great music of hers, and it's a really decent and very tragic film. Like the 80s had some interesting good music biopics, like La Bamba was a good one, and Sweet Dreams is definitely also up there as one of the better music biopics of that time. But that's pretty much it there. Let me to you guys, which of these films stand out to you the most? To me, the 10-year one is going to The Martian. The 20-year one is, of course, going to. I'm actually going to go with Capote. The 30-year one is going to Die For. And the 4-year one is Commando. Anyway, drop comments below. Don't forget to like, subscribe, hit that bell for notification. This is Sam Simon.